What's up, friends? Listen, I want to talk about who you should vote for, who you shouldn't vote for. No, seriously, I want to talk about reasons you should vote and reasons you shouldn't vote. Number one, let's talk about what you shouldn't vote for. You should not vote based on your political party. Now, let me help you understand why would I say such a thing? Because baked in every political party is an ideology. Now, you and I both know we don't fully agree with the ideology of either of the parties. However, there might be some fundamental things in there that you like, and that's important. That's why you chose the ideology in the first place. However, when it comes time to vote, if you vote blindly based on your ideology, you might miss the exact times we're in right now. If you look at the course of history, each ideology had variations, but they tried to steer us based on whatever they put in front of us to believe. And as we got embedded into it, we saw and discovered other aspects that may or may have not lined up. The point is that a blind ideology doesn't allow you to think. And that's been the greatest hack, the greatest kingdom, the greatest marketing game that's been used against us as Americans, is we've been lulled to sleep and told not to think. We've been told if you believe this, then that's what you should do no matter what. Instead of going, wait a minute, do I even believe that? Let's take a very controversial, I'll save that when we talk about the other one. Think about it for just a moment. Maybe your party fundamentally does offer what you'd like, but does the person who's representing them give you that? And if they don't give you that, let's think about chess. Is it possible that if they don't give you that and you go with a different party for strategy purpose, because there are other aspects that you know are important right now? For example, when I think about it, I come from the space of being a humanitarian. I actually care about people. Now, don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean I feel like as a result of that we have to take care of everybody. No, not necessarily. It just depends on the situation. It depends on the arena. It depends on what it's about. But should we take into consideration the good of all? Absolutely. Why? Because we're all here together. And what I know is if you starve one crowd and you only feed another, then you create chaos, controversy, and possible disruption, which doesn't help us bond, grow, and expand. Just a thought. I'm not suggesting that this the right way. I'm just saying that's how I consider it. And if my party is looking more from the angle of, or what they're putting in front of us, something that isn't really a large scale thing that impacts all of us, then I may have to ask some questions. The other side of the coin is I care about the money that I make. We live in a country that's designed for business, something my father taught me years ago. In order to be successful in America, you must have a business. If you don't have a business, then you're an employee, and the laws are not written in your favor. So I had to decide, hold on, do I look at who should be leader based on an employee model or based on a business model? And so I had to start to weigh those factors in. Based upon who's running, how can I make the adjustments, or who has the best interest in mind that can move the country forward? Now, why would I say business over employee? Well, first of all, there's nothing wrong with being an employee. But in terms of laws and advantages for expansion, it's businesses. America was built on small businesses. And unfortunately, in many instances right now, small businesses are suffering because the ratios are not there, the breaks are not there, depending on where you live and what's going on. But those are factors that will help me consider whether or not my party, if I even had one, is going to fully represent the interests that I think are valuable. But it starts with, what do you value? And why do you value it? Which leads me to my second point. Our parents. That's the second reason you shouldn't vote. You shouldn't vote just because your parents did it. And as a result of their success and or failure, you're going to vote with or against. That is not a good reason to choose. Do your homework. We live in a society where it's easy to just do what someone else did. Hey, they're my role model. Their path worked. Well, let's think about this. Let's take any celebrity and let's say they had a drug history and they recovered and they became great. Okay, now while they can be your model, is that necessarily the one you should follow toward your path of success? This is what I mean. If we don't take the time to investigate and think, we'll follow blindly once again whatever our parents did. It worked for them, so it should work for us. That's just not true. Where do you want the world to be in the next 5 years, in the next 15 years, in the next 20 years, maybe when you have children or grandchildren? What would be a good system or a good plan that might be able to support how they're living? One of the things that I love about millennials now is that they think. They have far more information to begin to put together pieces, to make choices. Yes, choices, not decisions. Choices because they can see more. They have access, which can inform them better. And I appreciate them for that. But that's something that I think we all need to pick up. How much more outside of TV, which we know is always jaded, how much more or what other tools should we be reading to understand policy, to understand the person that we want to vote for or value? This is the logical approach, not just because your parents said so. And then last but not least, do not, I repeat, do not vote based on your religion. That is the most mindless act possible, particularly in America. Let me tell you why. Many of us fall under the guise of Christianity in America. It's not a Christian nation. Some would probably argue that it is, and it's okay if you feel that way. I don't mean it to be derogatory, but here's what I mean by that. This is a classic, simple example. If you are a Christian in America, number one, that has layers, right? It depends. Are you fundamentalist? Are you Presbyterian? Are you Protestant? Like, so the world gets really weird really fast, right? And as a result of that, or are you Roman Catholic? The world gets really wild in a moment when you start just going down that one vein. And there are others that are practiced here. I need you to ask yourself, in that context of your faith, does your God or gods really approve of what's being shown? Is the party really reflective of the God that you serve? Or is it a blanket idea that's thrown over the top that makes it look like it's the God you serve? Because too often we just go, oh, well, if I'm a Christian, this is what I should do. As if the other side isn't, isn't that. It's funny. When I think about faith and I think about politics and why they say you shouldn't mix, whatever, I think it's imperative that you don't choose based on your faith, that you use your brain and read the times. One of the things that I was sharing with a friend not that long ago, in the Christian context, I talk about that because that's what I grew up with. I'm not, like it or not, I'm not. I love all faiths, I love love. I feel like God is love, and so that's what I study. And what looks like love, I can go with, I can roll with, and I often find texts that support that. And I might find other texts that support that, and I build my life around that construct so that I reflect what it looks like to be what I believe God is, and God is love. So that's that disclaimer out the way. But when you look at one aspect of it compared to another denomination, you find war within and disagreement within. And the reason I'm bringing that about is not to dismantle it, but to say it's not even consistent in its own. So why then would you blanket vote according to your faith? These are some simple reasons that you need to think about, or I suggest you think about, that I certainly consider when it comes time, who do I vote for? Based on what we're trying to create in this world, and we are in a global economy, it's not just us four, meaning the United States, and no more. It's the world at large. What kind of world do you want to live in? What kind of world do you want to live in? I don't know. But think about it from that angle. Have fun. Peace.